GM, everyone, and welcome to the modern market, where every day we discuss everything to do with the modern market. That is the crypto market, the NFT market, the Q3 earnings market for some of the tech stocks, and how to make some, or in an ideal case, a lot of money on the internet. Loaded up for discussion today, we have a big crypto liquidations coming through. BTC did crash all the way from 110K to 106K, did recover, but in the process of all of that going down, more than $817 million got liquidated over the last 24 hours. We have Zcash as the second piece of headline, totally not being impressed by that at all and marching higher. Now sitting at $385, flipping Monero market cap wise. And we have the Coinbase earnings call. Total quarterly revenue reached between 1.87, 1.9 bill, up 55% year over year. And there's been a couple more interesting things and some funny things happening at the earnings call as well. Definitely want to get into that as well. I got Brad with me in the co-host seat. Want to also do some portfolio discussion with him, and we are almost ready to get into the show. But quick reminder before we do that, friends, that nothing that we say here is financial advice. This market is extremely risky. It is extremely volatile these days, especially so. We do not know anything for sure, so please do proceed with caution and exercise your own judgment. With that out of the way, Brad, how are you doing on this Friday?
Sup, buddy? And actually, you messed with me. You sent me a message to join the spaces, and I realized I was missing the intro. I didn't get it this time. The music, so it's like threw everything off for me. But things are good. I'm sure you guys talked yesterday about the raise closing for Mega. Obviously, very excited about that. Now we enter the next phase of like making sure people get in who we think deserve to get in, and then making sure people get a lot of allocation who we think deserve to get a lot of allocation. Hopefully their profiles speak for themselves, but yeah, it's exciting times, man.
It is indeed. I'm just also trying to check if we have sound on spaces. I think Oxy said that that was not the case. Angela is saying we have sound on spaces. Oxy Funky, if you can hear me, can one of you unmute yourselves and see if we have sound on spaces? Still no sound. Okay. And it's probably something with my roadcast. I'm traveling. One of my cables did break. So what we're going to do is I'm going to stop the spaces, do a little post to join us on YouTube, share the link. And in the meantime, Brad, before the show, you've been telling me that you have a trade going on. You have put on a little long. What is going on there? What are you trading? And I'm going to get this post out in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, so like this is just like one revisiting my previous positions. I was I was trapped in a BTC long that I thought was a scalp. This is a little while ago, and I was just chilling. I actually had put on a pump long, and like this is just going to show like I failed successfully. I talked about it in our chat. I put on a pump long, I don't know, like 4 or 5 days ago, and it was running well. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get out of this now. And instead of actually just like putting in a limit sell, I actually put in a purchase of some puts, or not puts, that's options talk, but like of some shorts. And so I ended up going net short on pump, which actually kind of worried me a little bit. But then I woke up yesterday, and as everyone saw, like the market was blood red. So it actually worked out really well for me. So I was feeling pro because I was catching it on both sides. And then, you know, that obviously, so I sold out of that, did really well. And then now, like, I don't know, pump seemed to kind of front run everything. I guess maybe because it ran the day before, that it was also the one bleeding the most yesterday. And I don't know, it just seemed like disproportionate to everything else. So here at the bottom, right, what I think is a little bit of a bottom, I'm adding to it as another long. I think I like broadly, everyone's freaking out. I'm starting to see even more claims that the cycle's over and like appreciate your net worth, all this shit. And I don't know, man, I still just don't see it. Like the only thing that is bearish right now is, in my opinion, is that it's like we're at the 4-year cycle time frame as opposed to like any of the other structural fundamental stuff. Like everything else still feels good to me. So I'm taking note here, but I'm not freaking out. I don't think it's a cycle top, and I'm willing to go long strong assets. And I think pump is one of the very few very strong assets. It'd be like pump, I don't want to deal with Athena because of the unlocks uncertainty. It's just like not something I want to try to fight against. Hype is obviously something that, you know, now that they've hit another catalyst with equities getting put on the platform, you know, it's starting to show a lot of strength here. ZEC is still just something I'm not afraid. We're going to talk about it in the headline, but it's just not something I'm comfortable playing with right now. I don't know. It just feels like a meme coin to me. No one's using the fucking thing. It's just like purely a narrative thing. And I'm not comfortable doing that. So I'm sticking to things that are being used, things that are generating revenue. And in that regard, it's pump, hype, and, you know, a handful of other stuff that I oscillate between.
Fair enough. Since we are talking on that already, how do you weigh this? Like, obviously you're bullish, you're longing, but you're like saying, you know, structurally nothing speaks against being in a bull market. All the things are positive indicators. But as you said, like, it is the end of what typically would be a 4-year cycle. And we had this conversation on the show that on the one hand we said, maybe there is no 4-year cycle anymore. Like, stocks have been going up for way, way longer than that. Basically, there's not been a bear market or like a crash of the extent that we've seen in 2007 in equities ever since. And on the other hand, you know, crypto is extremely volatile, it's stressful, and there's a psychological factor of us being conditioned to that 4-year cycle. Like, do you think that there is sort of a bit of trauma to overcome from that expectation, or that because the psychology is so strong that this will basically at some point outweigh all the structurally good things that are going on at the same time?
I think the class of participant right now is different than what would typically dictate the 4-year cycle. So therefore I don't really give a shit. And you know, the quick retort of always the 4-year cycle thing is that, like, there's basic, like, yes, it's happened 2 times now, so like there's really zero precedent outside of just those 2 things, but it's always just psychological stuff, right? And if the people that were involved in the last 4-year cycle are not here today, which is the people that are watching Saturday Night Live to pump meme coins, like, I don't see the same characteristics, right? Like, again, it's not the true retail. This is all institutional driven momentum through the largest assets, through DATs, through whatever. So it's not the meme coin things are shooting through the roof, and, you know, Elon's on Saturday Night Live, and like Bored Apes are being shown on desks on Jimmy Fallon. Like, none of that stuff is happening, right? So it's nothing on the retail side of stuff. So in my mind, it's kind of been dispersed across a bunch of different asset holders. And just because the asset holders that have participated thus far are so large, right? Like institutional investors, the size of their capital is just gargantuan, that they're having a disproportionate, they're fucking huge impact on the actual market itself. And I think it's just, yeah, that's my perspective. I don't see the participation that is typically dictated by retail FOMO, which is retail participants. So I'm not worried about it until I start seeing that. We're taking notes, but I'm not seeing it.
I am with you on that. I think it is also maybe what we're also seeing to a certain extent is that there's like this constant expectation of an altcoin season to come, which is not coming, as we've seen this industry becoming more and more mature. And this institutional interest is more flowing into the BTC, into the ETH ETFs, into the majors, and not into the altcoins. And this is not representative of what like CT used to trade over the last years and so. And I think this kind of leads to that dichotomy that essentially the market's doing well, but CT feels incredibly frustrated as they are not really at large participating in that.
Yeah. But like the other thing is just, bro, I mean, I have no desire to try to predict the next 6 months. I'll predict the next three months. Like, I'm feeling the current environment, looking at the structural stuff. So I'm speaking to right here, right now, next few months. Like, I'm fine with it. I still think, you know, we have a little bit of silliness going into the end of the year. But I'm also a hopeless optimist. So, like, you know, take everything I say with a grain of salt. I've been here before.
Yeah, that's a very fair point. Just a quick reminder, once again, Spaces did drug us. We are live on YouTube. We are live on X video as well. I did make a little post on X and also posted it under the show as well. So we should be good to go, and everyone should be able to join us somewhere else. All that info is out. With that being said, one more thing before we actually get into the majors is today we're excited to be sponsored by Yeet, crypto casino that has now done 800 millions of volume. They just posted that yesterday. It's been funded by trusted names like Mando, KBM, and pro poker player Ben Lam. Mando came on the show to talk about everything they are doing a couple months ago. In the meantime, they also did launch the beta for the sports book, so quite a lot going on that side as well. Just a reminder, friends, to only gamble for fun and what you're comfortable with. And what we are going to do towards the end of the show is a $500 giveaway to someone playing under our affiliate link. We did pull the data as usual from the Yeet board. We'll have a little wheel spin coming towards the end of the show to pick the winner of this week. But with that being said, it's time to get into the price action, starting with the majors first. As usual, we have BTC. It's now flat on the day. It doesn't look too exciting at 109K, but there's been a lot more volatility than this number would suggest. ETH is down 1.5%, 3.8K. BNB down 3% at $1,080. Solana is down 3% as well, 186. And Hyperliquid is down way more. It's down 9% on the day, $44. But out of the majors, with the exception of XRP, is the only one which is up on the week, and it's actually up significantly, up 10%. And then Bitcoin Cash is moving on the last time. I'm seeing that as well. It's interesting. And then we have
bearish. So now we got Bitcoin Cash and Zcash, the two of the horsemen of the apocalypse moving. Those are the end cycle signals. Awesome.
What are the other two? If you had to pick four,
Doge is up. Okay. I saw the Zcash symbol and I thought that was the Doge one. I was like, fuck. And Doge is up 38% on the week too. We're screwed. No, okay. So good. So Doge, and then actually maybe even Shiba, because I think Doge is like, it's so big. It's been played by a lot of the people who play just like narratives, memes. That's just like a big trader thing. Shiba is the one that's like, when people start running down the risk curve to like retail, like that's what they're going after. I don't think many serious people are bidding. Actually, fuck, how can you say that when the market cap is almost 6 billion? That's absurd. Bro, did you see the tweet from Toll yesterday?
Which one?
The one about the buying retail at the Mega ETH ICO one.
Oh yeah. I commented on that in our chat as well. Why don't you say what was going on in the tweet, and I'm going to try to pull it up in the meantime.
I only say this because I look at SHIB's market cap and it's at 6 billion, bro. It's like, fuck, man. Like, we're putting so much work and energy into this thing that we think is like actually like meaningfully different. And then the SHIB is sitting there at 6x the thing that he was fudding. It's like, what the man? Anyways, so obviously, yeah, Mega did the raise yesterday. We finished at 1.4 billion. Very exciting, very awesome. And totally just did our friend M Team, who's the builder of Spire Labs, which is a based roll-up as a service. Dude's super smart. He's like 17 years old in high school, building an entire roll-up as a service platform on the side with, a team. Like, he's insane. But he did a little quote tweet, and he's like, says like, awesome, congratulations, here's my thesis. Anatoly quote tweets him and says, what was it? Pre-revenue 1 bill valuation to retail, Retardio. So obviously fudding that, like, the valuation that we sold that 1.4 billion to was at 999 million. So he's, fudding us a little bit, saying like, why would you do this for these people? There's nothing to justify that. I obviously responded to him and I was like, well, bro, they priced it. We didn't price it. So it's not like we sold it to them. They decided to buy it at that price. And then the other back and forth with that is he said, I wouldn't wish I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemies, was his response to me on that. And again, my response to him is like, if you are going to say that and say, I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy, then you have to accept the alternative. And yeah, so I said that. And yeah, it's like, if you wouldn't wish this on your worst enemy, you have to accept the alternative. And the alternative is that, like, we still need to raise the money, right? So the alternative is we raise the money and we just exclude retail, and we don't even give them the chance to even bid something, and like at whatever price that they want. And I think, and then like the very first level of exposure is that we raise it from VCs because we need the money. We do the raise. We probably raise that even higher than $1 billion because it's just purely about making the most money that we can. And then after that, at TGE is when retail finally gets a chance to bid the coin, and it's, you know, $5 billion, $10 billion, whatever the hell like the listing price is, and then it's down only chart. So for him to sit here and say, hey, I would not wish this on my worst enemy, is also to say that he would prefer that retail like not have any chance whatsoever. And I just think that was something that's really silly. And I actually frankly wish more of these opportunities where people have more opportunity to judge for themselves, be an adult. Like if you don't think we're worth $1 billion, don't bid at $1 billion. Like that's the thing. We're all adults. You guys are adults. You guys can make your own decisions. We're adults. We can deal with the repercussions of launching a coin that is valued at that, and like having to deal with the downstream effects of that if we don't manifest the valuation of that, or the market doesn't value us at that down the road. But frankly, like, yeah, I'm glad he talked about us because it's good marketing, but I'm willing to go to war with him. And I hope more opportunities like this actually come forward over the next couple of years.
Yeah, I very much agree with the sentiment. The other thing that we had was plasma, and some people were saying on the plasma, like, this is the worst execution they've seen. And CBB was pushing back massively. And that, I mean, obviously CBB was one of the biggest participants in the pre-sale, and they said that they did sell
$30 million on this thing.
Yeah, they did sell the tokens. They cashed in 8 figures, but they also said, look, everyone who did the pre-sale is up a 6x still. Like pre-sale price was $0.05 dollars. Plasma XPL was trading at 30 cents yesterday. No idea where it is today, but
it's still 30 cents. But so like even with
it's still up a 6x from that. Yeah.
It's murdered. It's a murdered chart, and it's still, they're at a 3 billion valuation. So even with like equivalence, it would be a 3x for anyone who participated here. It's insane.
Yeah. So the problem is not the pre-sale. The problem is obviously if you ape in once that thing did pump to 13 bill, and then you write down all the way down to 30 cents, and you're down 70% on that. But if anything, I would wish to have more access to opportunities like that. I would wish to have an opportunity to come in with private companies, not only with, you know, projects in Web3 like OpenAI, before I have to wait for $1 trillion IPO and have my first shot at getting that, or pay absurd fees to be able to buy that.
Yeah, first access at $1 trillion valuation. Although, like, in fairness, they're generating unprecedented amount of revenue. So like fair. All right. So like that kind of goes against what he's talking about, because like we're not a live system, right? We're pre-revenue, as he said. And I understand that sentiment. So like broadly, I get what he's saying. A lot of people were dunking on him because if you look back in history at Solana's like first time they hit $1 billion in revenue, they generated like $500 million in fees. They frankly did that for the longest time, even throughout 2022, like the last bull market, they were not generating much in revenue just because like they didn't have a lot of actual usage on the chain. So like their token valuation went to all-time highs, but they were still generating basically nothing because they're a fast, cheap chain. And it takes a lot of time to build up all that capacity that they require to generate fees, which is why I'm excited about us not actually just relying on fees. Like literally day zero, like we're going to have I'm going to tell you guys, we're going to have a pre-deposit program where like people can actually fill up stables on the chain. We're going to do all that stuff. And in that, like we're automatically, because we capture 5% of that stuff on the back end with the Athena partnership, just in that alone, we're going to generate more than Solana did in their first 3 years of revenue, just because we'll have that on the back end. It's like, and it's synergistic with the ecosystem. So I think it's a combination of, one, he's in an old school mindset. He doesn't actually fully understand our construction. And two, it's sticker shock, a little bit of competition, a little bit of everything. I think he's feels the heat. So I like it.
Yeah, very, very fair point. One last thing that I'll say on that, then we're gonna get back to the meme coin price action, is that the whole tech industry is not necessarily looking at having profits, being cash flow positive, having significant revenues initially. Like a ton of investing has been done around user numbers. Like look at the early days of Meta and formerly Facebook and all those things, where the dream was once you acquire enough users, then your enormous burn rate will be offset by whatever ad revenue or other sorts of revenue you will be able to generate from just having brought together a couple 100 mil, 1 billion users, whatever the number is. So even if it's, you know, not a live system, and maybe the analogy with OpenAI was not the best one. The point on the burn rate and the revenue coming in way later still stands. But that being said, let's circle back to the meme coin price action to get you up to speed with that as well. As we said, Doge is down a bit on the day, it's down 2%, SHIB is down 1%. So this horseman of the apocalypse is not one to worry about. Pepe is down 3% as well. Trump is down 1% on the day. It's still up 35% over the week. Definitely being the big outlier here. Pengu is down another 8% on the day. Also the NFTs, we're going to get into them in a sec, are down as well. Bonk is down. SPX Moritz coin is down 7%. Fightcoin is down another 7%. Just scrolling through that to get you the picture. Basically everything is down on the meme coin side of things, anywhere between 5-7ish%. Some things are down 2 digits. There's the few exceptions in between. The AI16Z is up 20% on the day, 28% on the week, but mostly a very Reaper's up 40% on the day. Okay, but mostly a very red day.
That one's getting scam pumped over on Hyperliquid. Zerebro.
Is it?
Like, it was after the big crash. There was basically everything was dead, and it was Zerebro and Zcash that like went through obscene spikes, and everyone was just like, okay, the Binance cabals over there, they're fucking around trying to do like a jelly thing. Someone was pumping the price. Now I will say the Zerebro thing is like, I could get the argument that it's tied to this X402 stuff, and I'm starting to see more and more rumors of that. And as I'm just going to kind of like drop thoughts here. So I saw other people talking about what's the frog, the purple frog, the bot AI agent,
AIXPT.
Yeah, AIXPT. They were talking about using him with X402 so that people anywhere can access him or his terminal through it was some of the things, Zoof or some shit, I forget what it's called. You pay $2 and get to query its terminal. So it changes the model of a lot of these tokens from one that is all about accumulation of the tokens, right? Like previously, to have access to the terminal, you would have to acquire a bunch of tokens, and it became prohibitively expensive because you have to acquire, 500,000 of the tokens, and if it's at $50 million, then like you can't afford that. So then like only a small subset of people have access to his terminal of data, which is the valuable thing, right? AXPT is just built on a data set that is scraped from Twitter, and accessing that, querying that is the thing that is valuable. So people were accumulating the tokens so they'd have access to that stuff and get interpretation, understand the current trends of the market based on like CT sentiment, blah, 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 blah. Well, with X402, now you have the ability to have these like digital payments pretty seamlessly from the front end. And someone just built an app and they said, pay $2, you get $2 per query towards AIXBT. Now, I don't know how that actually breaks down the back end, and if it's like literally just like USDC that's deposited into a vault, or like what the front end actually takes on behalf of AXBT. But if you can have the model that is built up by these people get payment from the masses without having them having to accumulate a shit ton of tokens, you potentially can have a lot of buy pressure if it's a valuable data set and a lot of people use it. So, starting to see the X402 thing come in and have some fun. I want to pay attention to it. I haven't dug into it too deeply to see like what the actual like finer workings of that is. I know Sammy's covered a lot of it recently, but again, I haven't had to dive into it. But I don't know, just noting it in my head.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm still trying to figure out how sustainable that is. Like, obviously, it's an exciting integration on the payment side, but is it relevant enough to be able to bring back some of the excitement we've seen around AI agents? Not obviously to the same extent, the roller coaster is getting smaller, but like, is it relevant enough that we'll be still talking about like people trying to build flywheels around that couple months down the line, or is this a rather quick
my
thing?
My guess is no. My guess is it's a narrative thing as opposed to like a structural thing where like it is interesting. I think the data set is too niche to generate the amount of volume required to be like meaningful. So if you're trying to put the AI agents into the revenue and cash flow like framework of like, oh, these guys are going to start generating a lot of revenue and then it'll be worth a lot. I don't think it'll do that, just because there's not enough people out there that want access to that specific data set to like generate enough volume to do that. And then anyone who does, like, they can just buy the tokens and they have unlimited or whatever the model is. So I think it's interesting, something to note. I think it's a narrative momentum thing as opposed to a structural thing where we'll start like stacking AIXBT next to Pump Fun and saying, bro, he's generating the most revenue out of everyone in the ecosystem, and like, you need the token. It's all buybacks. So it's all about mental models.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like we had I mean, it still sounds so silly to say that we had a revenue meta for the last half year or so, where suddenly we've become very obsessed with revenue, which is the right thing to be obsessed with, in my opinion. Start to
with businesses, we're being obsessed with businesses.
Exactly. We started to look at DeFi protocols on Solana, and you did a ton of data on that as well, right? Looking at, okay, how much are the things earning on Solana? How much are they earning on ETH? Why are they undervalued? Why are people not focusing on revenue? It's interesting that we found a way to basically push this narrative with a more native narrative to the AI agent side of things.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know that I'll force it, but it's something like, and it's just, as someone who's, I'm not a good meme coin trader. I've been wrecked on far too many things over there. I just don't have a good touch for the culture sentiment, like what people actually mid curve or left curve or whatever curve into. So I am largely trying to stay away from that stuff. I got ripped on Bowden, I got ripped on Whiff, I got ripped on a few of these other things because like I just don't maintain the position. Maybe as a trader now I can actually, like, if I like with the trader mindset more short term, I can actually stick to them, but it's just not something that I've accepted that I have a great sense on. And I'm sticking to structural stuff that I can actually like put in a spreadsheet, and that gives me the confidence that other people will tail it at some point. And I play that game.
Yeah, and it's a game I like. For me, it's currently more the waiting, doing ICOs, doing selected investments, farming yield side of things, rather than trying to venture too far down the risk curve. But anyhow, we sidestepped a bit, so let's get back on track. Just to recap the headlines once more, we have the crypto liquidations, which you've seen yesterday, more than 870 mil being liquidated. We're going to speak about that. We're going to cover Zcash continuing its
Interesting
march.
that it says, what do you think about electronic cash versus digital cash? Like, that's the first time I've seen someone say, like, deviate from the digital moniker. I've never seen electronic cash.
We had this discussion where let me just finish up this roundup real quick, and I'm gonna go back to that question specifically. So Zcash going higher to $385, and the last thing we're gonna talk about is Coinbase's earnings call. Get some of the numbers out there. In terms of some notable price action, as we said, AI16Z is up 10% on the day. Hype is down 8. Plasma was down to 29 cents. ENO was down 6% to 39 cents as well. In terms of some notable sales, we have this one CryptoPunk with the 3D glasses, which sold for 49 ETH. And on the other side, in terms of the NFT majors, we have a red day for Pudgy specifically. Pudgies are down 11% on the day, 6.16 ETH floor. Once again, got flipped by Bored Apes on the way down. Apes are down 1%, 6.6 ETH floor. Moonbird's also down 11%, 2.11 ETH floor. Milady's down another 3%, 1.28 ETH floor. Azuki's down 3% as well. The only thing which is green is RecGuy on the day. RecGuy is up 3% at 0.32 ETH. So not a good day for the JPEGs. Getting back to the rest of the Web3 roundup, you said at the start of the show, Mega ETH ICO did finish with almost 1.4 billion in committed capital towards its 50 mil raise at a $1 billion FTV. The second part, the funny part from the Coinbase earnings call is that towards the end, Brian Armstrong just went through the list of all the words on the prediction, the mention markets which haven't been said, and then he just said them before finishing off the call. It was quite hilarious. SPF returns to post. This is where the money went, attempting to justify that FTX could have paid back its creditors. Monad yesterday did complete the final day, the third day of the box opening to reward CT with the Mon token. terms of some other news, Yuga Labs other side sells us limited edition Voyages on Amazon, trading at a 775 ape floor. And this one I said already, crypto casino Yeet surpassing 800 mil in volume. Last but not least, TokenWorks announcing the first ERC buying token rec strategy with fees used to buy and sell rec. This is one way I didn't understand, to be honest, why we have an ERC20 strategy on top of an ERC20. So unless I'm missing something, that is something I want to look into. Do you have any more context on that specifically, Brett? I saw you shaking your head a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I saw people talking about it. Like, I don't know, like it doesn't feel especially compelling to me. I get it. And I mean, compelling as in the sense that like I don't think a bunch of people are going to ape into it just because it's a thing. I know we've seen stuff like this in the past. I do think it gets a little tricky with this whenever they're both ERC20s because it just feels a little dilutive. But I mean, it's a DAT basically. So like we're seeing that as a broad market for Tom Lee. So I mean, fuck it, like run it back on chain. Cool.
Fair enough. To go back to your question on Zcash and the electronic money term, yesterday I attended an event from the regulatory side of things with people working with the OECD to establish the crypto asset reporting standards, the CARF framework. F in CARF already stands for framework, which now also the US will adapt, and also regulators from EU member states, etc. And there is this big distinction between what is a stablecoin, what isn't a stablecoin, what is e-money, electronic money, electronic cash, which is basically if you use online banking in the EU, this is the electronic money term. And there's like many definitions of what makes something electronic money, what makes something issue stablecoins, issue other digital electronic money in specific jurisdictions on a EU level, on member states level, not so much on a global level. And I feel like what maybe Zcash is kind of trying to do here is to basically position themselves amongst this like narrative. It is electronic cash, but it's private electronic cash. It's like online banking, but private. So they basically use this term that is used from regulators for basically all the online banking things, and to not be thrown into the same like asset category or like payment category as a stable coin. I think that is what they're playing at with this wording specifically.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm not too deep in the Zcash trenches, so knowing positioning, story, lore, and like how it has been traditionally, I can't speak to any of that, but it did just jump out at me because I was like, man, we always use digital and everything. I had not seen electronic in any like large sense, so it was just jumped out.
Yeah. Anything else you want to comment on from the roundup? Anything else that stood out to you?
Yes, I forget now. Can you pull back up on screen? Let me look through. There was one towards the bottom that jumped out at me. You mentioned the mentioned markets. I'm actually gonna just scroll up a little bit. I'll just look through it. Okay, so yeah, Monad and the mentioned markets. So one, I didn't actually play the markets. I was gonna play the markets for our raise just because like I was close enough to it that I felt like maybe I could project it. I would have got screwed, so I'm glad I didn't actually take the bets. I don't know. I was like feeling a little like shit, man. I think we're gonna peter out here at the end, and like maybe we won't hit the 1 bill or the 1.2 bill. I was gonna just like take a YOLO bet on the no, and just like, bro, if it comes up short, then I'm gonna do well. The markets came up basically spot on. Everyone who did the 1.2 and over one got really close. It was like 10 million away, 10,000. It was like really, really close to going to the 1.4. And I talked to the Polymarket team. They said it was the second most visited page outside of the New York City mayoral election. I think we had $48 million in volume. Yeah, it was crazy. So like they're like, dude, this thing is blowing up. It's one of the biggest markets we've had in a long time, and like so that was cool to see. But now that I've gotten in position, because I was thinking about playing that, but I didn't. I'm going to see if I can run up this prediction market bag and just like play again, because I got wiped out, I don't know, a year and a half ago on some gas fee prediction shit with Solana because a meme coin dropped and it flipped Ethereum after I was watching this market for 2 freaking months. So that sucked. But I think I'm going to get back in the arena, see if I can run prediction market back up again. And then the Monad stuff. What did you finish at with your claim? I ended up with like 180,000, but I saw some of like the community members getting like fucking 2.3 million. So like there's some people that ate really well. So that was cool to see.
I didn't open my last box yet. Day one was 120K or so. Day two was 20-ish K, but I didn't open the last one. I got home very late from that regulatory meeting. And then I just didn't have the time to do this today, but I have it planned for after the show.
Were you the 5 tier, the community last, whatever?
Yeah, I have one community last one, and then I have a couple bundles with smaller tiers as well. So I need to do the math and aggregate everything into that. On the prediction and mention market side of things, the mention markets will. I mean, it's good that finally someone did that, which we said is like, watch the mention markets and just rattle off the words, because it was bound to happen. And I am still holding that like position that I'm super interested in the prediction market side of things. Also like to, play with capital there, but not so much on the mention markets because it's so easy to manipulate that. So that's the one I don't really want to dabble into. In terms of the mega ETH, I was so surprised that you said like the volume on the prediction market was so high, because it took a really long time. And that's one thing I need to remind myself. Some of these markets take a long time to ramp up in volume. Like I wanted to do the crazy bet on mega ETH and be like, oh, there's going to be 3 billion in there, just on the off chance that, hits and I like multiply my capital significantly. And when I wanted to do that, I didn't want to put in a ton of money. It was like $5,000 or so. It would have pushed the odds by like 50-60% initially.
Yeah, liquidity
so
isn't there.
Obviously, you have to do limit orders with that if you want to have a specific price level, and you just have to wait towards the end of bets. And then I also feel like some of the things have so much, and this is also going to help us segue into the first headline, because we only have 15 minutes or so left in the show. They have so much volatility that I feel like it's worth watching a market have that open on a second screen or wherever, have like notifications, if you're more sophisticated on for that, because they can move quite a lot and you can get a way better entry point, especially in the early stage of a market. Is there any specific category? Is it crypto for you that you want to try to run up your bag? Do you want to get into sports or politics side of things? Like where will you be most focused on?
It'll definitely be crypto. I'm going to do the same thing that I'm doing with like our approach to stocks versus like the rest of the field. Like I'm not going to go wade into political stuff. I'm not going to go wade into sports for sure. I'm winning my fantasy league, but there's no reason I should be. I'm probably winning because I'm so uninformed relative to everyone else and I'm playing it like a video game. So for me, it is going to be into things that I think I have like knowledge of, which would be like the thing I lost my ass on that I was playing for a few months was gas price differences between Solana and Ethereum, right? Like it was all about usage. It was all about like trends, trajectories. And I got because again, it was the Nero drop on the 30th day of the month, where I was like, I'm playing it safe. I was going to capture like a 15% ARB, saying that Solana would not flip Ethereum on any given day for the month. And Nero dropped on a Sunday on the last day of the month, and it went insane. And there was 2 tokens. It was that whole drama. If you remember, there was the 2 tokens PvPing each other, which one's which. Yep. And Solana activity just went through the roof. And that was the very, 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 very first day that Solana flipped Ethereum on 24-hour fees generated for the thing. And it fucked me, cleaned me out. I had my entire position, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to capture this ARB real quick and get out. And then, yeah, it got me. So I'm going to go back to the well. I'm going to tackle the nerdy crypto shit, maybe bet on when EIP 7655 is going to get included in Fusaka fork shit. And see what I can, but I'm going to try to run it up.
A follow-up question, because I'm interested in the timing. Why now? Is it because the mega ETH volume just got your attention, or is there anything else why you're like interested at exactly this point in time to come back to prediction markets?
Yeah, it was literally just like I didn't want to deal with it, but like I did the work yesterday or 2 days ago. Whenever I was trying to get in position, I was just like, yeah, fuck it. Like I'm aware of this market. I know it's there. I was talking to the Polymarket team, so it's like, okay. And I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'll just throw in a couple grand and just like see what I can do. So I got in position, but the bridge took so long. Like I was trying to bridge from Arbitrum to Polymarket or Polygon, and it just like I was sitting there for like 15 minutes, like, fuck it, man. And I just walked away, and then I got distracted, did other stuff, and then the market closed. And then, yeah, so now I have the money in the position, which is like, all right, fuck it, it's in position now. I'll just play with it.
Fair enough. Look,
simple.
talking about volatility in the markets, talking about volatility in the prediction markets, let's get into the first headline, which is to do with the massive liquidations, which we saw yesterday. We did see a total of 870-ish mil being liquidated over the last 24 hours. Most of these 747 mil were longs, BTC leading with 300 mil, followed by 192 mil in ETH liquidations. What we have also seen at the same time, talking about Polymarket, is interesting volatility in this market. US recession by end of 2026. That passed throughout October, gone as high as 46-ish, 45, 46-ish%, and did go down to 39%, basically after we had the FOMC meeting, we had the positive Trump-China news, and now is back up at 46%. Again, all of that is happening with very, very low volume. If we compare that, especially to the US recession in 2025, obviously only a couple months left, 2 months left in the year, 10 million volume, that chance is at an all-time low at 3% only. But the point here is twofold. A, way more volatility for 2026, and B, obviously very little volume in there, as I said, 12K, which I find interesting to point out, because this is a market where I would have expected to see way more volume already trying to position itself 2 months ahead of the end of year. And seeing that this is not happening is, for me, also sort of an indicator that the market is not really knowing where it is moving, and that there's a ton of like uncertainty or expected volatility. And moving maybe away for a bit from the crypto side of things to take a look at equities, yet the S&P 500 being down 1% yesterday. On the other hand, we have the futures market, the pre-markets, being up significantly on the day. Again, we have Nasdaq being up 1.2%. We have the S&P 500 being up 70 bips on the pre-market as well, where the entire market, both for crypto and equities, is still being driven by fear. Both of the indicators, fear and greed, are strongly in the fear range. For stocks, I'm showing this on screen, is at 36. So it feels, and I very much agree with what you said, Brad, like long term gonna go up and bullish on everything. But right now it feels like a very weird position. I feel you're seeing both a fair amount of volatility in equities. We talked about that yesterday on the show, where you went with us, where we had the Google and Meta earnings coming out. And Google had its first quarter hitting 100 bill, and it pumped 10%. Meta missed its earnings, was down 10%. So I feel like we are very reactive to all sorts of news at the moment. And yeah, there's a ton of like maybe anxiety that is kind of feeding into this volatility. What are you making out of this?
Yeah, this is actually, I feel like we talked about this also last week. Like what was it? It was Google crashing on the news that OpenAI created their browser, which turned out to just be a Chromium overlay on top of, the Chrome browser. So everything, yes, is very reactive in the traditional markets, and things are all over the place. And I will be clear with everyone on like the trades that I'm taking, and like when I'm talking about directional stuff. One, all my spot bags are my spot bags. I haven't touched them. I'm not trying to like flip in and out of stuff, especially towards the end of the year. Like I'm probably going to start being mindful about capturing losses just to like get them on the books. But the trading that I'm doing is not with tight liquidations, right? I'm not going max leverage because it's a unanimous sign that everything is up, right? Like whenever I'm talking about this pump long, right? I'm long with, it's a decent X, but it's, 20% of my capital, and therefore my liquidation levels are, a 50% drawdown from here. So it's like, I'm not playing like the game where like I'm max bullish, everything's up. There's definitely uncertainty. Honestly, the way that I'm approaching this shit is that if you, in this volatile market, everything mostly goes sideways. And if you just capture it at the right time, you will be green at some point. So like, if you're not greedy on the percentage that you have to be up before you take profit, like everyone is going to chop themselves up trying to catch bottoms and catch tops and do whatever. If you literally just watch your position and set some like mindful take profits, like you can get in and out of most positions in green and just like continuously chop yourself up. I just try to stay directional with where I think something is going. So like with my pump positioning, again, it's not a tight liquidation. I'm not max leverage long. I am long with plenty of margin, and I just sit on my position until it's green. And then whenever I feel like I have a decent enough, I cut it. And then like I come in with a fresh mind again, say, okay, is pump still going to trend up? I think so. Okay, I'll enter a long whenever it looks like it's oversold, and then I'll just like chill on it for a little bit, take profit, which makes sense, and then get out. So I don't want to sit in a pump short for a long time, because I think pump is a good protocol, and I think it will long-term trend up. So like I don't want to long-term be caught in that. So that's how I play. So yeah, it's all time frames and ratios and whatever. It's definitely a volatile market right now, and that's why I'm not playing it short, because you could have anything like yesterday where you wake up and everything's down 10%. Like I don't want to be caught on the wrong side of that, where I can't outlast the market.
Yeah, it's a very healthy approach. I like what you're making of it. Just for clarification, when you say 20% of your capital is in that's obviously only of the part that you're trading.
20%
trading
of the
back. It's not your entire net
5%.
worth.
Yeah. So like if I have 50 grand in there as my margin, like in my stables as my margin account, I'm doing a long position with 15%, on 5, 10x or whatever. So it's like you get good exposure over the capital that I actually have in there. And, that's the general breakdown.
Yeah, just wanted to clarify on that and save you someone clipping from the show and saying, Brett has 20% of his net worth in the pump loan. What is going on? Look, we have 8 minutes left in the show. We have 2 more headlines to cover, and we have a wheel spin to do. Next headline, Brett, we have Zcash being up on the day, $385. What's going on there? What do we need to know? I mean, we covered that a bit already, but still getting into that, of course.
Yeah, I mean, like we did talk about it a little bit. It's just the general. It's captured a bunch of KOLs. It is Bitcoin but private is like the quick tagline for everyone inside of the industry. And we talked a little bit about the electronic digital cash. So for outside of the industry, maybe people are private electronic cash. For outside the industry, something that's a little more familiar. We were actually talking about it in the modern market chat. Some people are trying to like position short because they think they've, it's being a little exhausted here. I'm frankly avoiding it entirely because it is basically a meme coin to me. I'm still going to stick things that are generating revenue, things that are being utilized. This thing is not being used, but everyone's talking about it. It's effectively a meme coin to me. And I thought it would do the same narrative pumping that everything else had, where we had the perps protocol pumps, and then we had the like Aster down horrendous, Avantis down horrendous, and I don't remember what the metas were before that. The strategy tokens down horrendous. So like all of the other things that were on the other side of the hill, they're all getting murdered. I tried to play that here, and it showed strength and actually blew through my shorts even after the 10/10 liquidation day. So for me, it's a meme coin that is showing escape velocity beyond that singular weak rotation, and it's something that's a little stronger. And I don't want to play it because I don't know what the upper bound of this thing is, and I don't know what the lower bound of this thing is, and I can't predict it. But it continues to show strength at basically every turn. It has showed strength.
Yeah, very, very good summary. I think that thing there is to be said on that. So let's keep it moving, getting into the last headline, which is to do with Coinbase reporting the Q3 earnings. Just picking some numbers from that. 433 million net income. We also said it, quarterly revenue reached between 1.87 and 1.9 billion US dollars, which is up 55% year over year. It's up 25% quarter over quarter. What is also interesting to see is transaction revenue, which rose to 1.05 bill. That is almost up twice from 573 mil a year earlier. And then on the, which is supported both by like increased retail and institutional participation. A subscription services revenue is up as well. That has seen a 34% year over year increase. So very good numbers coming out of Coinbase. In terms of the stock price, again, that's very volatile as well. Yesterday it closed being down 5%. It's up 2% on the week. Pre-markets today again are up 4.5%. So There is a fair amount of volatility going on over the last week or so. If we zoom out a bit, year to date, Coinbase is up around 32%.
I need this thing to pump because my options expire at the end of the year. So I'm gonna need investors and institutions to FOMO into this thing. Otherwise, I will not have executed my options at the peak, which is unfortunate. I think it was like 416-ish was the top that coin hit, and that was like 6 months ago, and should have cut there. But it is what it is. I'll probably once we get close to the end of the year, I'll just cut the options, and then I'm going to very likely rotate that into just like Robinhood. I'm minimizing my Coinbase exposure here some more.
Fair enough. And you've been talking about the Robinhood trade for a while. Just in terms of another interesting number coming out of the Q3 earnings, which has been shared via Lucas Shore and X, it is that last quarter, the ETH trading volumes almost flipped those of BTC for the first time. So if we look at the Q3 in 2024, of the total volume of 100%, 37% was made up by Bitcoin, 15% by ETH. Fast forward 1 year to Q3 2025, we're looking at 24% BTC and 22% ETH, which is very interesting to see because like BTC dominance is obviously very strong on the market. On the trading volume side of things, it feels like that the trading volume is going down for BTC, which kind of goes in line with what we've also been saying on the show, which is that the general volatility around BTC seems to go down, which means that like people are happy to settle in their position, maybe acquire by an ETF, and other things are now seeing higher and higher trading volumes.
Yeah, I was looking at that sheet to see like where that was actually coming from. It looked like Bitcoin dominance pumped for a little bit, and then like everything, all other cryptos were relatively the same. XRP was the same, USDT was the same. So it just went into Bitcoin, and then now it's going back out of Bitcoin into ETH. So, I mean, that's the meme, right? Is like it starts at Bitcoin, then starts flowing through everything else. Everyone's been calling for an alt season. It looks like maybe we had a little bit of one. Obviously, a lot of that was driven by DATs. Like that was just a huge headline over the last 3 months. So that does not surprise me at all. Whether it'll sustain or whether it'll continue to flow down to other assets, TBD. I still think the strongest narrative in the space right now is the Bitcoin mean reversion catch up with gold trade. I actually thought about putting another long in on gold itself, just because I saw it's now come down to reasonable levels. It was like 3,900. I don't know where it's at today, but I was thinking about just sitting on that for a little bit while I mull over my next position.
Yeah, gold price went as high as 4.4K. As you said, it did cool off. We are back to $4,008.
Creeping back up. Yeah, 5-6%. Is that on the day?
It's up $7 on the day, 0.19%.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense.
And similar picture for silver. Silver also corrected down and it's also like slowly creeping up again. I like the thinking. I like the thinking here. Look, we are almost out of time. We have one more thing to do for the show today before we close it out for the week. And that is to do with Yeet and our giveaway, our $500 to be given away this week. As usual, this goes to the people signing up using the Modern Market referral link, which I'm going to post in the comments in a second. We're also going to have it once we upload the episode to Apple Music, Spotify, and have it in the YouTube description as well. This week has been dominated once more by J Miles, 30K in volume, Funky, 23K in volume, and Swallowmax with 6K in volume in the third spot. Did a bit of volume weighting, put together the wheel of names, which we're going to spin for $500 to pick our winner. Brett, are you ready to see who's gonna hit this week? Do you have any guesses?
I'll call it out. I know Funky got just past her for last time, so I'll give him some love just because like he's always the top spender, so I want to see him get a win here.
Yeah, that would have been my guess as well. And now if he wins, people will say we rigged the wheel. But that's the guess I'm looking in for the day.
Dude, he's all over the place.
Yeah,
oh, no,
it's gonna be
J
J Mouse.
J J Miles.
Many funky entries. J Miles won. Congratulations. I don't think this is the first win, if my memory serves me correctly. But yeah, congrats. We're gonna get the funds to you. And with that being said, that's it, guys. Thank you, Brett, for hosting the show with me today. Thank you for everyone listening in the audience. We have a bit more than 2K people live with us. That is despite the spaces rugging, which are good numbers, which I like to see. As usual, we are going to upload the episodes to Apple Music, to Spotify. We're going to have clips coming out, and we are going to be back same place, same time, 7 a.m. Eastern time. Also same time again for non-Americans, because you guys are going to catch up and going to do the winter time now as well. And it's going to be the same time as usual for everyone around the world, which is good. And with that being said, have a good weekend in the meantime, and see you on Monday.